Physics. You ever heard of them? Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, big, did you see my channel? It's like, you, what the hell are you doing on the scene?
Cause Sega doesn't care about me, Jay! Hey everyone, welcome to my review of Sonic the Hedgehog for the Xbox 360. This game was released in 2006 and was supposed to be Sonic's most ambitious title yet. But just days after release, it was almost unanimously hated by the entire population. So what was supposed to be Sonic's most ambitious title turned out to be his most infamous. With all that being said, enjoy my video.
First off, this is the second time I've ever looked at this game. It was designed as a continuity reboot to the entire series and to recover from the epic fail that was known as Shadow the Hedgehog. We were supposed to get all the same characters that we know and love with no backstory. It seemed like an alright idea. Throughout 2006, Sega treated us to a playable demo and a shitload of teaser trailers showing us what this game is all about. Like I said, it seemed promising with awesome looking graphics, good sounding music, no gimmicks, just Sonic doing what he does best. Running, jumping, and collecting rings. After being rushed out the door, the game was finally released in November of 2006. It only took a few days for word of mouth to spread of just how terrible the game actually was. I personally didn't have an issue with the game on my first playthrough. I thought it was, well, okay at best. I was much younger back then and I didn't pay attention to anything that made this game that bad. I just played it, beat it, and never played it again. It wasn't until later when I started watching YouTube videos of this game did I realize just how bad the game truly was. Of all the videos here on YouTube that I've watched about this game, I would have to say Some Call Me Johnny's is the best one so far. Johnny here is a pretty damn talented YouTuber. Johnny, if you're watching this video right now, just know that it's not my intention to steal any of your material. You covered the game so well and it's going to be kind of hard for me to review the game without saying something that you already said. But not wasting any more time, let's get on with the story. The story is broken up into 4 episodes: Sonic, Shadow, Silver, and the last story segment. Just like in the Adventure series, you start off with Sonic's story. You can't play as Shadow or Silver until you encounter them in Sonic's story. Once you complete the game with all 3 characters, you unlock the last story segment. After careful consideration, I've decided that I'm going to sum the story up into one large narrative. In the distant future, we are introduced to Silver the Hedgehog. Alongside with Silver is his mentor and best friend Blaze the Cat. Blaze originally debuted in Sonic Rush, a title for the Nintendo DS. In that game, she's from a different dimension where she ruled as queen. Here, however, she's from the future. It's really weird to me that they retconned Blaze's origin story considering that Sonic Rush came out just a year before this game. But alright, Blaze is from the future. Here in the future, Silver and Blaze are in a constant, never-ending battle with the flames of disaster known as Iblis. After defeating Iblis for like the 50th time, Silver is finally growing tired of whooping Iblis' ass and wishes there was a way he could get rid of him once and for all. Enter Mephiles the Dark, a being who looks just like Shadow the Hedgehog for reasons we'll get into later. Mephiles advises Silver that the only way to destroy Iblis once and for all, he needs to destroy the Iblis trigger from the past.
But that's impossible!
The Iblis trigger is none other than our beloved blue hero, Sonic the Hedgehog. Mephiles proves this to Silver by having him gaze into a purple Chaos Emerald which shows Sonic in a fiery background, and nothing else. Oh yeah, totally responsible for the apocalypse. And what really drives me crazy is that Blaze appears to be familiar with the blue hedgehog that was shown in the image, and she doesn't bother saying anything about it. And what's also retarded is that Silver doesn't even question why Sonic is the Iblis trigger. He just agrees and goes to the past to kill him. After Mephiles sends Silver and Blaze back in time, we are now in Soliana, the city of water. Every year this town celebrates their god Solaris. Solaris is known as the sun god here in Soliana, and the people of Soliana throw annual festivals to honor the sun god himself, so that way he doesn't unleash the flames of disaster. But just before anybody has a chance to get drunk, Eggman comes and crashes the party, and this has got to be the worst Eggman we've seen yet. I mean, come on, he's not even fat!
I am Dr. Eggman.
The purpose of his visit is that he wants to unlock the secrets of the Flames of Disaster, and the only way he can do that is to capture the palest human being in the world, Princess Elise, and take her Chaos Emerald. Suddenly Sonic! Sonic manages to grab Princess Elise and escape from Dr. Eggman, running away from a barrage of missile attacks, which I'll admit was pretty cool. After defeating a few more robots, Sonic discovers that Eggman managed to capture Elise anyway. She then throws Sonic the blue Chaos Emerald, leaving him to figure out how he's going to rescue her. Meanwhile, Silver is up on a perch spying on Sonic, saying he finally found the Iblis trigger. Just before he could go down to confront Sonic, he's stopped by Amy, who for some reason manages to mistake Silver for Sonic. You are 0 for 2, Amy. Amy then feels bad for causing Silver to miss his opportunity to take Sonic out. She agrees to help Silver find who he's looking for, but she's completely unaware that it's actually Sonic himself. The next morning, Sonic meets up with Tails and they decide to go chase the egg carrier over at Wave Ocean. But wouldn't you know it, chasing an aircraft on foot while it's in the air just doesn't seem to work out. Way to go, Sonic. Way to go. But anyway, after doing some investigating, they find out that Princess Elise is actually being held in the desert. But just after Sonic and Tails break into the prison to get her, Eggman launches the Egg Cerberus. Once Sonic defeats it though, he picks up Princess Elise and they break off into the desert, with Silver and Amy hot on their trail.
I sense Sonic's presence here.
Crazy bitch!
Once they escape the desert, Silver confronts Sonic in a one-on-one confrontation. And I don't know why, but Silver reminds me of the psychic rays from Dragon Ball Z Abridged.
I can see the future! Hey, look, one survived. Oh no, they can see me! I have to stop you from destroying my race! In the future!
But anyway, once Silver defeats Sonic, Elise gets captured by Eggman. Again. Silver stops Sonic from running after her, but just before he can deliver the final blow, Amy comes out of nowhere to save the day, allowing Sonic to run after Elise while she deals with Silver.
If I had to choose between the world and Sonic, I would choose Sonic.
Whore!
After Sonic escapes, Silver begins to ponder whether or not killing one person is worth it to save the entire world. When he asks his companion Blaze about it, she gives an answer that's best summed up as, "Figure it out, retard." And if you're wondering where Blaze was the entire time, she was off looking for Silver in Wave Ocean. She has got to be the most worthless character in this game as far as story is concerned, and I really wonder why Sega bothered to include her. But anyway, they decide to go to Eggman's base to recover a Chaos Emerald. How they know who Dr. Eggman is beyond me. While Knuckles delivers a message to Sonic from Dr. Eggman. I was wondering when they were going to include Knuckles. But while all this is going on, Elise manages to escape the clutches of Eggman all by herself. Wow, she's already better than Princess Peach. Nah, just fucking with you. She gets captured immediately after she enters her castle. You are 0 for 3 now, Elise. But anyway, Eggman's message tells Sonic to bring his Chaos Emerald to Eggman's base in the White Acropolis. Tails suggests that it's a trap, but Sonic says he's gonna go anyway because the guards aren't doing anything about their captured princess. Sonic delivers the emerald as promised, but then Eggman uses the emerald to transport Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles to the distant future, where they meet up with Rouge the Bat and Shadow the Hedgehog. Okay, now for the story to actually pick up a bit. Shadow was tasked to go to Eggman's base in the White Acropolis to rescue a secret agent in search of a sacred artifact. Who sent him on this mission? Gun. That's right, the very same government organization that made his life a living hell in Sonic Adventure 2 and Shadow the Hedgehog. Why Shadow works for these people now? I could not fucking tell you. But anyway, the agent that Shadow was sent to rescue was Rouge the Bat, and the artifact is known as the Scepter of Darkness. Rouge asked Shadow to escort her to the rendezvous point, which happens to be in Kingdom Valley. It's here that they butt heads with Eggman, who's here to steal the Scepter of Darkness back. But after the fight is concluded, the Scepter of Darkness falls to the ground and breaks, causing Eggman to run away like a little pussy. A shadowy figure emerges from the Scepter of Darkness, wiping out all of the robots surrounding Rouge and Shadow. The Shadow takes Shadow's Shadow to assume the form of Mephiles the Dark. Mephiles claims that he knows Shadow personally, and to thank Shadow for releasing him, he sends him and Rouge to the distant future where he meets up with Sonic and friends. Okay, we're all caught up. Shadow mentions to everybody that Mephiles' time travel abilities felt very similar to his own Chaos Control, but in order for him to do this, he's going to need 2 Chaos Emeralds. From there, Sonic and Shadow decide to team up and track down some jewels. Not wasting any time, the crew track down 2 Chaos Emeralds and use Chaos Control to open up a space-time rift. Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles immediately jump into the rift, but Shadow notices Mephiles and gives chase. Sonic and friends make it back to the present where they go after Princess Elise. Rouge also makes it to the present and hands E123 Omega Shadow's Chaos Emerald, asking him to shut down and help out Shadow in the future. Meanwhile, Silver continues his hunt for Sonic. Shadow manages to catch up to Mephiles in the future, where Mephiles badly tries to get Shadow to join the dark side, claiming that humanity will eventually betray him because they fear his power. But Shadow rejects his offer because he already had enough of that shit in the other games, and this guy's name is Mephiles, which is dangerously close to Mephistopheles, or translated in English, the devil. With the aid of Omega, Shadow manages to defeat Mephiles and he gets transported back to the present day, where Omega admits to Shadow that the one who defeats and seals him is Omega himself. What a twist! Anyway, Sonic manages to rescue Elise, again, where he's stopped by Silver, again, causing Elise to get captured by Eggman, again. Oh my god, did the writers not see how stupid this is getting? Before Silver can deliver the final blow, he's rescued by Shadow, allowing Sonic to go run after Elise. After Sonic rescues Elise again, they escape through the jungle, while Shadow and Silver duke it out of the train station.
Chaos control!
You know, that's easily the best part of the entire game right there. And you know, I'm surprised some random Sonic nerd hasn't freaking made a Vine of that scene yet. Hold that thought.
God damn it, come on. Got it.
Check this out.
Chaos control!
This my shit. All the girls stomp your feet like this.
Anyway, Silver whips out a Chaos Emerald of his own and tries to use Chaos Control. But, since they both did it, it activated, wouldn't you know it, another time rift. Shadow then tells Silver to follow him to the past so he can reveal that Mephiles is the real enemy here and not Sonic. The two travel 10 years into the past into Soliana's aquatic base where research on Solaris, the sun god, was being held. The Duke of Soliana was running the research on Solaris, and when you know it, the experiment blows up in everybody's faces, causing Solaris to split up into two beings, Mephiles and Iblis. Shadow and Silver decide to split up to take on Mephiles and Iblis at the same time, but before they run off, the Duke of Soliana pleads with Shadow to seal Mephiles in the Scepter of Darkness. Not wasting any time, Shadow takes the scepter and pursues Mephiles while Silver chases Iblis. With the power of the Chaos Emerald, Shadow managed to seal away Mephiles in the Scepter of Darkness. But Mephiles informs Shadow that one day he will escape, and he will kill Shadow when that day happens. Which will explain how Mephiles knows Shadow to begin with. But here's the problem. If Shadow hadn't traveled back in time, Mephiles would have escaped. So this particular scene suggests that Shadow was always meant to seal away Mephiles. But that could never happen because Shadow was cryogenically frozen on Prison Island before this even happened. He couldn't have done this. It makes no fucking sense. Okay, look, I know that I mentioned that this game was designed to be a continuity reboot to the entire series. And the game was designed to be just that. But here's one problem. This idea is completely forgotten with the release of Sonic Generations, which treats Sonic 06 as canon. So now that we know that this isn't a reboot anymore, Shadow manages to seal away Mephiles while he's still cryogenically frozen on Prison Island. This is exactly why you should never implement time travel in a plot. It's so easy to fuck it up, and this game did just that. And the same goes for Silver. If he hadn't traveled back in time, he wouldn't have been able to contain Iblis, meaning Iblis would have escaped and destroyed the world. Oh god, this story. Anyway, Silver's unable to contain Iblis for very long, and the Duke mentions the only way to seal away Iblis is to place him inside a royal soul, with the young Princess Elise as the perfect candidate. Wow, what a great fucking father. Once Iblis is sealed away in Elise, the Duke informs everybody that if Elise ever cries, Iblis will be released and bring the flames of disaster with him, in turn destroying the world. So you mean to tell me that this little girl, who's an orphan now by the way, did not cry for 10 years straight? I'm sorry, but I refuse to believe that. It's retarded. But anyway, with the mission accomplished, Shadow leaves behind the Scepter of Darkness, claiming he already knows what becomes of it in the future. Personally, I think I would take that with me, ensure that it never gets destroyed, but hey, that's Shadow's decision. The two activate Chaos Control to go back to the present. Before jumping into the portal, Silver leaves his blue Chaos Emerald behind to Elise and tells her to consider it a lucky charm. I guess that explains how she had it in the beginning of the game. Back in the present, Eggman once again captures Elise. Surprise, surprise. While Shadow makes up a new Scepter of Darkness to seal Mephiles once again. But the scepter doesn't work and blows up in Shadow's face. Mephiles informs Shadow that that same trick won't work again and tries to attack Shadow again. Shadow then takes the inhibitor rings off his arms, which grants him extra strength, and he just runs through Mephiles like he's not even standing there. Yeah, that's probably something you should have done a while ago, Shadow, just saying. Sonic makes haste to go rescue Princess Elise once again. Eggman's mechs attempt to stop Sonic, but Silver comes out of nowhere to save the day. It turns out that Silver and Sonic have similar goals in mind and they decide to join forces. This scene kinda confuses me because Sonic shows no resentment towards Silver for trying to kill him. Twice, I might add. But in the end, the mission turns out failing because the egg carrier crashes anyway, killing Eggman and Elise in the process. Sonic throws his Chaos Emerald to Silver, telling him that he can handle this on his own and he should go back to the future and take care of Iblis. Silver agrees and travels back to his own time to take care of Iblis. I don't know why he did this. Why not travel back to the past to ensure a good future with Sonic? God. Anyway, Sonic travels back to the past before the egg carrier could take off. He jumps on top of it and confronts Eggman. After throwing a brief hissy fit, Eggman and Sonic duke it out outside, with Sonic emerging the victor. Silver defeats Iblis once again in the future and attempts to use the Chaos Emeralds to seal him within his body, but gets rejected. Blaze, giving herself some worth in this story, steps in to seal Iblis in her body, and this time it actually works. She then transports herself and Iblis into another dimension, because she can do that, I guess. But it turns out that Mephiles isn't quite through with our heroes yet. With his attempts to have Silver kill Sonic in the present failed, he decides to take matters into his own hands himself by impaling Sonic from behind, effectively killing him.
Yeah, Sonic dies in Sonic the Hedgehog. The first time I ever saw that scene, my jaw just dropped. I could not believe what I just saw.
This causes Elise to cry and release Iblis within her soul. From there, Mephiles joins bodies with Iblis to become Solaris once more. Solaris uses his time-bending abilities to gather all of our heroes up into one place. Except for Blaze, that bitch is dead. Everybody begins to mourn the loss of Sonic, but Elise senses his presence in the wind. With that knowledge, Silver tells Elise that she should be able to rescue Sonic's soul with the power of all 7 Chaos Emeralds. So everybody, with the exception of Elise and Eggman, decide to run off and go find the 7 Chaos Emeralds to rescue Sonic. They succeed in their mission, and then this happens.
Sonic, come back. To me. To us.
With the power of the Chaos Emeralds and Elise's kiss, Sonic is resurrected into super form. He then shares his energy with Shadow and Silver to supercharge them as well. After the Hedgehogs defeat Solaris, the space-time continuum is restored. From here we join Elise and Sonic in the Chamber of Solaris, where he was nothing but a flicker of flame. She then reveals to Sonic that if they blow out this flame, then everything that just happened will be undone. And then this happens too.
I don't care what happens to the world.
Crazy bitch!
Yeah, she seriously just said that. She would rather risk the existence of all humanity so she can be with Sonic forever. Are you fucking kidding me? But Sonic tells her to smile and go ahead and blow out the flame anyway. She does, and that in turn wipes Sonic 06's story from canon. Kind of. Jesus Christ, what a mess of a plot. The story alone destroys anything that the game might have had going for it. It just blows my mind how many plot holes, retcons, and inconsistencies the story has, and just how unimportant Sonic himself really is. The only way to figure out what the hell is going on in this plot is to play Shadow and Silver's story, but even then it's uninteresting, because the heroes are retards. They know they have the ability to travel through time with 2 Chaos Emeralds, and they do almost nothing with them. It almost makes it to where the time traveling element was a worthless thing to incorporate into the story. And the same goes for Mephiles, who has the ability to travel through time without the Chaos Emeralds. If his ultimate goal was to join up with Iblis to become Solaris, then why doesn't he just travel back in time and join with him there? Or better yet, he was already in the future where Iblis existed, so why didn't he just join up with him then? Do you mean to tell me that he came up with a plan to have Silver kill Sonic just to be an anal bag? If that's the case, then why is Eggman even here? It seems like the only reason he's even in this story is just because you can't have a Sonic game without Dr. Eggman. If I can give Eggman credit where credit is due, he single-handedly managed to capture Princess Elise more times in this game than Bowser ever did for Princess Peach. Which brings me to the next subject of Elise herself. She doesn't do anything here. Throughout all the times that she's been captured, she never does anything to become a stronger character. Whenever a situation becomes dire, all she does is back away in fear. And considering that she's the leader of an entire country, she commands no respect. Not once has she ever told Eggman to fuck off. And no one in the town seems to even give a shit that she's been captured in the first place. So in the end, Elise is probably my most hated character in the entire Sonic universe. The story has absolutely nothing going for it except this part.
Well, everyone, that covers the story. As you can see, there is a lot to talk about. The story is just that bad. Plot holes, retcons, inconsistencies, all over the place. And aside from that one part, that one 10-second part, there's absolutely nothing to look forward to with the story. But now that we got that out of the way, let's move on to gameplay now.
Okay, if I can give you guys a quick analysis of the gameplay, it's fucking terrible. Probably the worst that the franchise has ever seen. As I mentioned earlier, the three main characters to control as are Sonic, Shadow, and Silver. Additionally, you control as all the respective characters' amigos. There are a total of 9 characters for you to control as, each of them rocking their own style of play. And considering that this video's gone on for over 20 minutes now, I'm not going to bother going over each one individually. We'll be here all day. So to save time, I'm going to go over just the 3 main hedgehogs, starting with Sonic. Sonic is all about speed. Well, sort of. He's definitely the fastest character in the game, but he's still not that fast. Throughout all the stages, there are dash panels that Sonic can use to pick up the pace. Here's the thing though, they are all over the place, proving that Sonic has no speed. After doing a little bit of research, I found out that people were complaining that the controls in Shadow the Hedgehog and Sonic Heroes were just way too fast and slippery. So to counteract this, they made this one of the stiffest games ever created. And for some reason, the characters can no longer jump on enemies. You have to use Sonic's homing attack or a character's special ability to kill the enemies. Speaking of which, aside from having a very shitty enemy variety, Sonic 06 has enemies with health bars. This is something that's been going on since Sonic Heroes, and I can't for the life of me figure out why it's still here. Now, mind you, the health bar really isn't that big of a deal. The big deal is that you have to use your character's special attack to kill enemies. In Sonic's case, it's the homing attack. And in order to do anything, you have to wait until he recovers from the animation to use the next one, which really breaks the pace. Exclusive to Sonic stages is his Mach Speed sections. In these sections, Sonic picks up the pace and moves extremely fast, which can be extremely disorienting considering how slow you were moving before. It's here that Sonic can only do 4 things: move left, right, jump, and use the light speed dash. You have to dodge all the obstacles that are in your way. You can't slow down, and you can't change Sonic's direction when he's in the air. The only way to slow Sonic down is if you take a hit. The thing is, he quickly regains his footing and keeps on going. The trailers made the Mach Speed sections look awesome, but since they failed to deliver, I always just want to smoke a cigarette before I even play it. But let's move on to Shadow. Shadow's control is very similar to Sonic's, with a few differences. For starters, he's not nearly as fast. His homing attack feels a lot more sluggish, and he can't even do the spin dash like Sonic, which I forgot to mention by the way. Shadow is also more combat oriented. If you mash the A button after attacking an enemy, he'll do a series of kicks. This is meant for enemies with large health bars. A returning gimmick is the use of vehicles. I will say that these are a lot more useful than they were in the previous game, but it's still something I could have done without. Another thing Shadow can do is his leg sweep attack, which really isn't that useful either. All in all, Shadow is just not a joy to control. But let's move on to Silver now. Silver. Silver's got to be one of the most disappointing and inconsistent characters in the entire game. Aside from being a complete retard, he's slow as shit. Look at this! Come on! Silver uses his telekinesis to combat enemies, which you would think would be awesome. But the execution is just terrible. For starters, Silver can't just simply grab enemies. No, that would just be too much fun and give Silver his own little gimmick. Instead, you have to go right up to point blank range and bitch smack him, which will cause you to take a hit if you miss. If you successfully manage to smack an enemy, you'll stun them, causing you to pick them up and throw them at another enemy, which is satisfying to a degree, but it's more of a chore to be honest. Silver can pick up just about anything and use them as weapons against enemies, which once again you would think that'd be awesome. This is the thing though, you remember all that bitching I've been doing the entire video about inconsistency? Well, Silver is the most inconsistent of them all. At the beginning of the game, we can see that Silver is perfectly capable of flying for what appears to be forever. And not only that, he can fly fast. And at the end of his story, you can see that he's capable of lifting objects much larger than he is. However, in the regular gameplay, you can't fly forever, you don't fly that fast, and you can only lift large objects selectively. All in all, I like Silver for the concept of it, but that's it. I think they really could have had something going with Silver, but I think because of time constraints, they had to rush it. So instead, they got a character that nobody cares about. But anyway, now that we got all the Hedgehogs covered, let's go over their power-ups now. Since we're already on the subject of Silver, I'm going to go over him first. The Power Bracelet and Single-Layered Extreme power-up allow you to grab and throw multiple items at once. The Heart of Wind power-up allows Silver to dash a total of 3 feet. Fascinating. And finally, you have the Shock Bracelet, which allows Silver to stun multiple enemies at once. It's probably his only useful power-up. Okay, let's move on to Shadow. Shadow gets the Air Chip, which allows him to do the Light Speed Dash. Other than that, he gets a bunch of Chaos powers, which are incredibly fucking worthless, so I'm not going to bother explaining them. Call me lazy, but I never find a use for Shadow's power-ups outside of boss battles. Alright, let's get to the cool power-ups. Sonic's. As you can see, Sonic has quite a number to choose from. The Light Chip allows Sonic to do the Light Speed Dash. Anti-Gravity allows Sonic to do a sliding attack. And the Bounce Bracelet does exactly what you think it does. Alright, let's get to the gems. The Blue Gem gives Sonic a short burst of speed, because, heaven forbid he's naturally fast in this game. The Red Gem slows down time, allowing you to get a gnarly time bonus at the end of each stage. The Green Gem does a tornado attack that I don't find useful. The Purple Gem shrinks Sonic and for some reason gives him unlimited jumps. The Sky Gem works as a grappling hook, which is extremely useful for getting around Soliana. The White Gem gives you a different variation of the homing attack. And the Yellow Gem gives Sonic an electrical shield that doesn't protect him remotely, but it does attract rings. And you know what's really cool about these gems? See that glowing meter I haven't mentioned yet? Well, it's supposed to moderate how much Sonic can use these abilities. The funny thing is, it was never coded properly for Sonic, meaning you can use these things as much as you fucking please. So now that we got the characters and power-ups covered, I want to talk about the graphics. I can honestly say that the graphics are really good. It looks especially good in HDMI. But what I don't like about the graphics is the game's art design. I'm sorry, but combining the cartoony animations of Sonic and friends with photorealistic people just doesn't work for me. But other than that, each stage is constructed really well with not only good graphics, but good music to complement it. As I mentioned in my previous review, Sonic's music has always been a guilty pleasure of mine, and although I don't listen to this entire album, I do have quite a number of tracks downloaded onto my iPhone. As far as difficulty goes, well, it's there, but really only for noobs. The only way a veteran is gonna die is if they try and take a shortcut or if they get fucked over by a glitch, which this game has plenty of. But surprisingly, I don't have any footage for it. But let's be real, if you're watching this video, you've probably already played the game and you know what it's capable of as far as glitches is concerned. The only glitch I can think of is when I completed this stage here and it still let me control a Sonic. I jumped into the lava and died, and I still continued on with the game. Weird. But speaking of completing stages, returning from all the other games is a ranking system based on your score, S being the highest, D being the lowest. Once you complete the stage, you're awarded with a gold medal, this game's equivalent to emblems. The only difference is, you don't earn anything for getting the gold medals. Yeah, seriously, all you get is an achievement. And probably the most fatal flaw to this entire game, the one thing that everybody complains about, is the loading screens. They're everywhere. The longest one that I recorded was 32.5 seconds. That is ridiculous. Even if you install the game to your system, it still takes at least 20 seconds per load screen. And God help you if you go to do any of the town missions. Yeah, there's town missions. And there's a loading screen for the instructions, a load screen if you fail, a load screen if you pass, and then another load screen to go back to Soliana. And you better hope you don't fail, because if you do, you gotta talk to that town person again after all those load screens to restart the mission and repeat the cycle. And just to add insult to injury, some of these missions are mandatory to beat the game.
Well everyone, that pretty much covers gameplay. I'm sure I might have missed something, but as you can plainly see, there's a lot to talk about. But now that we got the story and gameplay out of the way, let's move on to multiplayer. Now who the hell am I going to get to play this multiplayer with me? Hey Jay!
Yo, what's up?
Hey, come here for a second!
Yo, what's up, man?
Hey, come play Sonic 06 multiplayer with me.
Dude, that's dead in Sonic's career.
I'm going to pretend you didn't just say that. But come on, it'll be fun, please?
Dude, no, I finally got the DQ mask off the Link. Why would I do that?
Come on, man, please.
Dude, no.
Think fast.
My God. Dude, you're such a dick. Hey.
Okay, thankfully since we covered everything else, there isn't going to be a whole lot to say with multiplayer. There's two types of modes, you've got tag and you've got battle. Tag mode is where both players work together to get the chaos emerald at the end of the stage. There are points in each stage where both players need to be present to open up a gate. Both players also share lives, so it's not recommended to go around dying all the time either. Once the stage is complete, it tallies up all the scores and tells the player the grade they earned. After that, it moves on to the next stage for a total of 7. What do you get if you beat all 7 stages? Not a goddamn thing. Battle mode works very similar. Main difference is that you get to choose which stage you play, and instead of working together, you work against each other. If I could compare it to anything, I'd say it's just like Sonic Adventure 2 Battles multiplayer. Only not fun. Both players have to race to the finish with no time limit and unlimited lives. It's really self-explanatory.
Well, everyone, that covers multiplayer. As you can plainly see, it fucking sucks. This was Jay's first time playing Sonic 06 multiplayer, and look at him. He's fucking petrified now. This game has almost nothing going for it with the exception of graphics and music. And that brings me to the overall score of a 4 out of 10. This game cannot be owned by any Sonic fan unless they are absolutely curious of what this game is all about.
Is it over yet?
Yeah, it's over, Jay.
Can we get off the ceiling now?
Yes, we can get up the ceiling. Hold on a second. Ah, come on. Almost. Got it!
Oh, shit, fuck.
Bro, do you hear that?
Fuck yeah, I heard that.
Sounded like it came from the front porch. Let's go check it out.
Alright.
Oh, fuck.
I can see the future! How could you have a kid? Boo is a child! How reaches his perfect form! Tiny Trunks become a guy! God is the strongest in the universe, but still doesn't do crap!